Ready to rock and roll?
Okay, do I gavel then say something? All right.
Recording in progress.
Okay, we're hitting 6 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and start this session. Our April session of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee is in session. Can we have a roll call to start, please?
Sure. Melissa Dio.
Here.
Ken Wooster.
Here.
Karen Buerig.
Here.
Aaron McClellan.
Here.
Tim West.
Here.
And Kevin Kaysen.
Here.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Wow, this is so exciting. We never are looking at people. Thank you all for being here. I just wanted to have a couple comments to get us started. That first of all, I am thrilled to see all of you participating in civic engagement this way. It's exciting. I'm so glad to see that you feel passionate about something, and I'm glad that you're here. So bravo to all of you. Way to go. I did want to offer a couple things. That first, we did receive every single one of your written comments. I want to assure you all that I have read every single one. All of your committee members here did receive those comments. That's fine. It's smooth lighting.
Wasn't in the plan.
All of your committee members received those comments, as well as the city commission members. So they are all part of the official public record as written. We're not going to read them all today because, excitingly enough, there were over 50 comments that you all submitted. So we're not going to read them, but they are part of the official record. Because of that, if you're here today to leave comment, first of all, make sure that you sign in so that we can have your information, because I do have to call you. And then secondly, if you're going to read what you have already submitted written, and not necessary, because we do have that recorded as already part of the public record. So just want to share that one piece. We're going to get started, and I'm going to start with what we call public comment, but this section is actually for folks that are here to comment on something other than something on the agenda. So the aquatics report is part of the agenda. We will get to your comments after we do the presentation, but I want to offer, if there's anyone here that is leaving comment or wants to offer public comment on something not on the agenda, offer some space now and time for folks to do that. Is there anyone here that wants to take part in that? Got a good second? Okay, all right, great. Well then, I would like to turn our attention to the minutes from the March 26th PRAC meeting. Does anyone want to call a motion to approve our minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
Great. And do we want to do a roll call? On that
Yes. Right after I write that down.
one? No problem.
Melissa Dio.
Yes.
Karen Buerig.
Yes.
Tim West.
Yes.
Kevin Kaysen.
Yes.
Ken Wooster.
Yes.
And Aaron McClellan.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, minutes so approved. All right, so we are going to jump into our presentations, the swimming pool operational assessment. I believe we have...
We're going to do Melissa first.
We're going to do Melissa first, I'm
Yes.
sorry. We're actually going to start with our water safety. Water safety
month.
Excellent. Please.
Corey, are you able to
I sure
pull up
am.
the presentation? So while she's getting that pulled up, thank you, Park and Rec Advisory Committee. My name is Melissa Sebastian, and I am the Aquatic and Recreation Manager, and I got to meet a lot of you last month. I'm here to talk about Water Safety Month, which is quickly approaching us, starting in May. So I'm going to get straight into this since we have another hot topic tonight. So with warmer, perfect. So Water Safety Month. Warmer weather is approaching, which means that there's going to be more recreation that's increasing in water environments. And that just comes with some reminders that I want to make sure that I'm giving our community. Drowning is a leading cause of death for ages 1 to 14. It's the #1 cause of death for ages 1 to 4 and the second for ages up to 14. Drowning in water affects all age groups. It's the 5th leading cause for all people in the nation of the U.S. And those of minority communities have a significantly higher chance of drowning as well. Our swimming pool, I think one of the great things about our city is that we do have a swimming pool. I think, they are there to support public safety and are a critical safety resource for our community. Our swimming pool just hit 60 years of service, which I think is a really incredible thing to celebrate, especially with the maintenance and dedication that our city staff have given over the decades of making sure that this pool stays in a maintained position to continue operating. Having access to public pools in our community, it provides a safe and supervised area for people to swim. And it has access to trained lifeguards that add a layer of supervision and protection to be there to help prevent drownings from happening, scanning the water and being able to identify someone who may need help and assistance in the water, and then being able to be there to rapidly respond when an emergency does happen. Our swimming pool also provides programs like swim lessons, and anytime someone is able to participate in a formal swim lesson, it helps significantly reduce the drowning risk up to 88%. This year we were able to award $1,704.25 towards swim lesson scholarships to be able to help reduce financial barriers to our community to be able to participate in those vital programs. Communities that support pools really do help with that reducing of drowning risk, because if you don't have a public pool doing swim lessons, it's hard to help do those programs that prevent all of that. It also provides healthy recreation for all ages. There's a lot of programs that take place in pools. We have adult fitness. It can sometimes be water fitness can sometimes be the only way someone can get physical exercise that's comfortable for their body. And with some of our aging community members, if they have, challenges with walking on land, getting in the water and building up strength can help gain independence on land too. And it also has the ability to have a lot of, swim team programs and after school programs and recreation, swim and all of that. And when we don't have pools in our community, that's where we see people turn to unsafe areas like local, rivers and lakes and, other areas where lifeguards aren't present. Our aquatic team, they are a really key piece to that safety measure in our body of water. This year, we were able to add a full-time program coordinator to our team. She's helping with the sign-in sheet tonight. And that has been a really incredible thing for our team. She's been able to help with the addition of tightening up our staff training that really takes place every day. Our lifeguards go through a really intensive certification process, but then they continue to do 4 hours of in-service training every month to make sure that they are prepared for any emergency and situation that may happen, including, making sure they're keeping up their physical strength to be able to respond. Their training really focuses again on that prevention, scanning, and rapid response time. And I'm proud to say that our staff have identified and responded to 8 rescues in this last calendar year. I gave this presentation a few weeks ago to our Citizen Involvement Committee, and the number was 7. And we recently, had a situation during a private rental where a parent just got distracted with their 5-year-old kid, and they started going active, and the lifeguard was there to respond and, help them to the wall during that situation. So I'm really, proud of the team that we have. And then this is the next topic that I like to get into, is the fact that safety really is a team effort. Yes, we have lifeguards at public pools, but we also have bodies of water throughout our city and our state that don't have lifeguards. And we have, HOA pools and, other, backyard pools that don't necessarily have lifeguards. we all share, I think, the responsibility of helping prevent drowning and helping with this. And I think that's where parents and guardians can help play a really important role. Lifeguards are there to watch everyone, and drownings can take place very quickly and very silently. It's not like what we see in the movies. And so, the more eyes that we can have with everyone in the water, the better, because it essentially just adds more of those layers of protection. Drownings typically occur, when you're assuming that someone else is watching. And so it's just good to not assume and rely on just one individual person watching. And then our swimming lesson programs, I just wanted to give a quick update with the expansion of being able to have a program coordinator and our efforts to prevent drowning. We are expanding some of the type of programs and the type of lessons that we offer. We just had our first junior lifeguarding class in almost 15 years take place during spring break, and that is a program specifically for ages 11 to 14 to start learning the skills of a lifeguard and to help prepare them for when they turn 15 and can go throughout that certification class, because that class can sometimes be a little shock to people once they get into it and see all the skills that they have to complete. Additionally, there's a really high percentage of teens and adults who don't know how to swim, and it can sometimes be a barrier to someone signing up for a swim class if they know they're going to participate. Our group lessons have a lot of really young kids in them, and a 14-year-old's not going to necessarily feel comfortable in a class with 5 and 6-year-olds. So we're going to be implementing classes for teens, adults, and families where they can come and participate in a group class with people of their own ages that may need to learn some of those basic skills like floating in the water and being able to go from a standing position to a horizontal position and all of that. And then the family lessons are really there if you have parents and kids who don't know how to swim, because if a parent doesn't know how to swim, it's significantly higher of a percentage of their kids also not knowing how to swim. And so those will be where a family can sign up and participate together and learn together on that. And then this will be the second summer. I think we've been doing this for a couple years now, but we continue to offer priority for our residents of Oregon City with registration. Our summer registrations opens this year for swim lessons on Wednesday, May 13th at noon for residents and 2 o'clock for non-residents. And then with that, I'll just end with, thank you for letting me talk about this, and thank you again to the team of staff that we have. Our lifeguards and water exercise instructors and swim lesson instructors are really the ones helping, with this initiative and teaching those skills. And so I really do want to, make sure we're recognizing them and all the work that they do for this community. So, and if you guys have any questions, I'm open to it.
Any questions, PRAC? All right. Well, I just want to say thank you, and thank you to your staff. Absolutely. This was a great presentation, and especially nice to talk about one extra save in that week span. That was so exciting to hear. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there aren't any other comments, I think we're going to move on to our presentation. I did want to add one more for the folks out there. I meant to say this in the beginning, but PRAC ourselves, just for a note, we are not a decision-making body. What we do here is we offer recommendations when asked to Parks and Rec, to City Council, and in this particular meeting, especially after this presentation and after comments, we are not going to be providing any kind of recommendation or be asked to vote for any kind of recommendation today. That may happen at a future meeting, but I want you all to know, especially if you give comment and want to go ahead and leave, know that you're not going to miss the end where we give a recommendation or something like that. That would be in a future meeting. So with that, I'm happy to get started. We have our presentation, the swimming pool operational assessment.
And I'll go ahead and kick this off
Go ahead.
before we turn it over to our consultant. So good evening, committee members and interested community members. Thanks for being here, everyone. It is really nice to see the interest in our swimming pool and in our community. So my name is Scott Archer. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director for the city. So tonight, we're going to talk about an assessment we've done recently on the pool. So as I think most of us know, Oregon City Swimming Pool is celebrating its 50th anniversary of operations this year. At the time of its opening in 1966, the pool was built to serve a community about 1/5 the size of our current population. We think that the community in 66 was around 8,500, and we're close to 40,000 now. So quite a difference in the size of the community. So all these years later, the pool continues to be a well-used, beloved amenity for our community, as I think you all are attesting to. And although the pool is older and now undersized for our population, the city of Oregon City has continued to invest in the facility to ensure its operation for as long as possible. And I think we've done a good job of keeping it functional considering its age. Because it is a single body of water, rectangular 25-meter pool, the demand exceeds our ability to meet the necessary levels of service needed from our current population, which desires a wide range of uses and types of programs and all the different activities that happen there. So while it's impossible for us to accommodate every need and desired use due to its limitations, we do want to ensure that we are at least striving to provide the best balance of scheduling and offerings that accommodates the highest priority community needs for aquatic and dryland programming. We do more than just aquatics there. So as I think most know here, and if you don't, I want to make sure you do, we are currently planning for the future replacement of the swimming pool. We are engaging in a process. I appreciate that enthusiasm. We are engaging in a process. We have hired a firm that is going to help us plan for the next little less than a year now, and do some community engagement and figuring out, kind of the where and the how of what a future facility might look like. It's going to be a very important process that will help us make decisions. And so I do want to, since you're all a captive audience tonight and you seem interested in the pool, please participate. Please follow our information on social media, on the city's website, wherever you might find out about the city. And we'll send out, information through the different channels that we have. So while we are planning for the replacement of the pool, realistically, it will be a few years at the very best. And more realistically and more likely, it would take us several years before we can plan, fund, and build and open a new facility for the Oregon City community. We do want to do that, though. So while we work on this critical future goal, it's necessary that we continue to seek the best way to provide the maximum and best use of our current pool. Given all of this, the city determined in the budget process last year that we would like to hire an outside firm to perform an assessment of the pool and help us ensure, that we're looking at all the safety and efficiency types of issues that go along with an older pool. But also, we want to do that while seeking to maximize the community benefit of the services and programs that we provide. So in other words, we ask somebody that knows this business, please come and assess us and tell us what we're doing well and tell us what we need to think about doing differently. So with that, in the fall of 2025, this last fall, we hired a firm called Councilman Hunsaker. They are a leading national aquatic planning, design, and operational consulting firm to conduct this comprehensive assessment of our pool operations. The Councilman Hunsaker worked with the city over the last several months to do a comprehensive review of our facility standards, of our operations, of our schedules, of our programs, to look at the market analysis and other things as well. The recommendations in this resulting report that you've all received at this point, and so the recommendations in the resulting report are based on comparison of current operations with our local community needs and priorities, community priorities that have been identified in our recently adopted Parks and Rec Master Plan and in comparison with current national aquatic industry standards. So tonight, Jonathan Neese of Councilman Hunsaker will present a summary of the report that was prepared by him and his firm. What we are asking, and Aaron did a good job of kind of teeing this part up here, which is what we're asking of you tonight, committee, is we want you to receive this information, receive the report from Jonathan. He was our lead consultant. You've got the written report, and this is an opportunity to hear that information and also to ask any questions or do any clarifying or any conversations amongst yourselves that you would like to have. What we are not asking you to do is to make any recommendations tonight. We want you to be able to digest this information. There's a lot here, and there's some important things to think about in the future. And so what we would like to do is to continue this discussion at your next meeting. So in May, at your May meeting, we will ask that we continue this conversation with you, and at that time, we'll bring back the main recommendations out of the report. Staff will help guide you through some of that information. We'll revisit what Jonathan's going to share with you, and we will seek some direction from you at that point in time, or at least begin the conversation of getting your direction. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan, and then when he's done with his presentation, he, Melissa, and I will help you with any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Scott, for the introduction. My name is Jonathan Neese, and I work with Councilman Hunsaker. We're first an engineering and design firm that focuses on aquatics, and I work in the operations group focusing on new and existing facilities and maintaining safety and sustainability in those facilities. In October of last year, Scott and Melissa asked me to conduct a site visit. During that site visit, what we came to understand is that the facility is 60 years old and it's a beloved community asset. During construction, I think that this was a crown jewel of swimming pools, but as things have aged out, we're no longer able to support the programming that it was intended to. The observations from the site visit is that the operational model, the scheduling, is misaligned with the community's priorities, which were identified in the Parks Master Plan. At this point in time, the lower priority programs, which are defined in the master plan, are dominating peak hours, which are both creating a financial deficit and unmet demand for swim lessons. Additionally, wading pool risks were identified, and management structure issues were also identified, which we'll discuss today. All of these recommendations were based on the Parks Master Plan, which was recently adopted. The aquatics description, which is provided in there, is that the aquatics facility is to promote health and safety for all ages with the goal of providing programs for all ages. Additionally, providing life safety classes. Based on that, it prioritized 3 levels of service. Those essential services are defined as life safety, is having the entire community being able to save themselves in an event where they're uncomfortable in the water. Those programs are swim lessons, water safety classes, and lifeguard certification courses. Priority 2 is important services. These focus on more individual but health and fitness, which is lap swimming and water exercise. And priority 3 is the value-added services, and these are based on individual benefits or specialized interests, that being recreational swims, family swims, and then the swim team. Based on our observations and our site visit, we have developed 3 recommendations, the first being to optimize the programming and scheduling to prioritize community needs and maximize revenue. Mitigate the facility risks, which were identified in the wading pool, and restructure staffing for enhanced safety, efficiency, and accountability. Reviewing each of those recommendations, to optimize the programming and schedule, We analyzed the current schedule at that time, and what we came to understand is that Priority 1 programs, that being swim lessons and life safety courses, are receiving 12 hours of lane allocation. Where Priority 2 and 3 have 38 and 33.5 hours. 14% is allocated to the Priority 1 programs, almost 3 times less than the Priority 2 and Priority 3. Additionally, we looked at the financial sustainability of those programs and did a cursory cost recovery analysis. What we understand here is that the programs, that being swim lessons, has a 81% cost recovery. Swim team is at 24, so almost 75% of that is being subsidized by the taxpayers. Again, this is flip-flopped based on the master plan's priorities, where the highest priorities and the lowest subsidy programs are receiving the least amount of lane time. If we focus in on that prime time golden hour for swim lessons and other programming in aquatics, that being defined here is after 3 o'clock. For swim team, they receive 12.5 hours throughout the entire week, whereas PM lessons receive 6 hours. This is the only window for most families to attend. Highest priority programs receive significantly less time than those lower priority programs. Families are being turned away from the city's most essential services. And at this point, the PM lessons have a wait list, and the majority of that wait list is for kids less than 10 years old. So how do we fix this? And there's 3 big wins that we can do in order to fix this. In no way am I suggesting that we get rid of the swim team times, but reallocating that and right-sizing it to fit in with the city's priorities. What we think would be best is to maximize the swim lesson times, that being from 4 to 6 o'clock, reallocate the swim teams to 6 to 8. While we're maximizing those lessons, we should have as many kids in the water as possible. Here's a way that the city can allocate those swim lessons for this. This is a 30-minute schedule where we have all levels of programs in the water at a single time. At this point in time, we only have 4 classes being held at a single point. And with this, we'll be able to increase those classes from 7 to maybe even 8 if we used an extra lane. We also discussed the ratios for instructors, that being the best fit would be 1 instructor to 6 kids. Through this, we'll be able to have 50 kids in the water for each 30-minute lesson, equaling 200 kids in the water for that 2-hour time period. At that point, the swim team can take over from 6 to 8. These might better be serviced for those older athletes, which are usually ages 13 to 18. This isn't anything new in the area either. We analyzed local cities and other entities that have swimming pools. What we found is that their evening swim lessons usually start about 4 o'clock. In addition to that, if they have swim teams, those usually run a lot later, sometimes up until 8:30. The schedule changes align with market best practices, not only here in the Portland area, but also throughout the entire United States. There's some other areas that we can increase the efficiency of scheduling, that being in the midday. At this point, we have office hours, potentially rentals from 2 to 3 o'clock. We suggest activating those for potentially aquatic therapy, senior conditioning, youth conditioning, taking advantage of those who might work from home or retired or otherwise better, more available. We also have Saturdays. Those pretty well align with the weekdays. We have swim team that dominates those hours, and the swim lessons, that's a prime time for hosting those swim lessons. If we find that there's enough demand for the swim lessons, then we suggest that we reallocate that time to swim lessons as well. Lastly is launching Sunday operations to expand the community access. Here we won't be focusing on scheduled instructional classes, but more of an efficient staffing model. With those, we think that we'll be able to operate the facility with 2 to 3 lifeguards, where we'll focus on lap swim, water walking, rec swims, and then those rentals, and we can also include the swim team in that. The outcome here is increased access 7 days a week, while also controlling those costs, especially on Sunday. Other recommendations here are the facility's risks. First of all, the facility is 60 years old. Usually we find that facilities age out, start to break down to the point that we need to replace them after 50 years. So it's exceptional that this facility has lasted for 60 years. And I think that it'll last for another 10 too, while we're working through that feasibility study. But there are some risks associated with those aging facilities, that being the wading pool. We found that the drain covers are not VGB compliant. Virginia Graham-Baker is a federal act which was enacted in 2008 in order to prevent suction entrapment, finger and hair entrapment as well. These drain covers are not compliant with that. In addition, the wading pool is unsupervised with those lifeguards. So if an emergency did occur outside, a lifeguard wouldn't be able to recognize that, or a response would be delayed. And lastly is the unique aspects of the aging facility. The wading pool and the lap pool share the same recirculation system. And at first glance, it might seem that that's a pretty efficient way to circulate water. But based on the users of the wading pool, that being toddlers and infants, there's a real risk of contamination. If there was ever a fecal incident or any other types of contamination, that would then get into the lap pool, and we'll need to shut down both pools, and for a potential for an entire day. So here we're wasting chemicals, we're increasing downtime. So we have a few options to take care of the wading pool. That being to convert the wading pool to a splash pad. This will completely eliminate the drowning and entrapment risks. It requires lower staffing. It'll utilize a separate recirculation system to solve all of those issues. The only con here is that it will require a large capital investment. The other option is to close, decommission. This is the lowest upfront cost and eliminates all of those associated risks. The problem here is that we'll be losing a water feature, especially for those younger users. And I understand that this is a pretty popular option, the wading pool is. So the last point here is that we can continue to operate it if we mitigate those risks. While I was here earlier today, Scott and Melissa discussed how they are trying to eliminate those risks, first by placing a VGB compliant cover on the suction, and then additionally potentially adding in some lifeguards outside. The way that the wading pool was operated back in October, Councilman Hunsaker cannot recommend the continued operations unless those risks are mitigated. And it sounds like we're on the right path to do that. Last recommendation here is restructuring the staffing. There is 2 ways that we'd like to do that. First is the aquatics manager. At this point, the aquatics manager is responsible for the swimming pool as well as the Ermitinger house. This dilutes the risk management focus that should be applied to aquatic facilities. In addition to that, the maintenance personnel is a general facilities person rather than a dedicated swimming pool facility technician. The Oregon State Code for swimming pools just recently updated, and they're requiring a qualified operator. At this point, that role is being split between 3 administrative staff. In order to solve the problems with the manager, that person should be transitioned into 100% aquatic focus. And that's first for the high-risk operations of a swimming pool. We need to worry about chlorine, pH, alkalinity, calcium hardness in the water. And that should be 100% focused on the aquatic manager. What we would suggest is that the museum duties are reallocated to a general recreational role. And the result of that is a singular focus on safety standards and increasing our programming hours so that we're better aligned with the Parks Master Plan. Before transitioning those duties, we, especially with the recommendations to increase swim lessons and opening on Sundays, this will increase the volume significantly of visitors into the swimming pool. And this is an additional reason why the aquatics manager should have 100% focus on the swimming pool. At this point, the maintenance of the facility is 60 years old. There's a lot of preventive maintenance tasks, and those aren't being taken care of by a dedicated person. So we suggest having a half-time aquatic maintenance specialist that's dedicated to the aquatic facility rather than a general maintenance position. The purpose of this is to transition reactive procedures into a preventative maintenance role so that they're switching out pumps and taking care of the facility so that it can reach out to that 70-year mark. There's additional risk associated with the swimming pools, and that person should be very focused on the preventative tasks that are associated with that. This person should have a certified pool operator certification. This is an industry benchmark for aquatic maintenance personnel. Additionally, the Oregon Pool Code requires that certification, and this person would be the primary qualified operator, who would be the sole person who's responsible for that. This ensures the preventive maintenance tasks are taken care of and eliminates the reliance on shared city maintenance teams. 20 hours a week, however, doesn't cover the almost 100 hours of swimming pool operations, so we'd also suggest upskilling some of our head guards. These are persons who have qualified themselves as competent, and we suggest that we teach them how to be even more competent, where they'll be able to take care of water chemistry and maintenance systems at a high level, or at least understand how to fix some of those issues, not so much for the maintenance person, but be able to get us back into operation more quickly. This person should have ability to work early in the mornings, late at nights, and especially on those weekends. So if the full-time staff isn't here, they'll be able to troubleshoot and get the pool back into operation, or at least understand who should be contacted. We also recommend that those head guards are all Red Cross lifeguard instructor certifications so that they have a robust understanding of the Red Cross life-saving program. Not only does it help facility uptime, but this will create a bench of supervisors who are capable of handling complex operations independently without needing to wait for someone else to fix it for them. Hierarchy that we're recommending is an aquatics manager that's 100% focused on the swimming pool. We've recently hired the program coordinator. That person's responsibility is building up the programs, scheduling administrative tasks. We recommend hiring of a half-time aquatic maintenance specialist that'll focus on the systems, making sure that we're in compliance with the Oregon Pool Code, training the head guards to be CPO and LGI certified, and then having our qualified lifeguards and instructors. Here's a summary of those recommendations. First is prioritizing the schedule based on the community needs. Maximizing the peak window for swim lessons and programs from 3 to 6 o'clock. We'll increase the weekly hours by 13%, eliminate some of those waiting pool risks, refocusing the supervisors and hiring maintenance personnel. Some polling questions here, not to make recommendations, but to generate some comments. Do we endorse the proposed schedule realignment to prioritize the swim lessons, expand community access? Which path for the wading pool should we have? Convert, close, or continue to operate? And should we begin updating job descriptions and initiate recruitment for a maintenance role?
Okay, thank you so much, Jonathan. Appreciate that. Right now, I'm going to offer it to PRAC committee members. Your questions for Jonathan.
I have a couple. Sorry, my mic's not on. So I understand the need for a CPO to run the pool. It's pretty much industry standard practice. So what I don't understand is the halftime. So is that role are they gonna split half of their job doing the CPO work and then half time doing head guard work and stuff like that, or is it?
Yeah, this role would be strictly focused on maintenance. So they would work 20 hours a week part-time rather than a full-time position. At this point in time, I don't think that there's a need to have a 48-hour person in the pump room. As we expand facilities and start construction of a new swimming pool, that might need to change. But I think the intent with this is that we're starting to ramp up our operations, become more competent. So as we get a state-of-the-art facility, we can continue to operate that facility for 70 more years.
I have trouble in my mind thinking that someone with a CFO or CPO or AFO would want a half-time job, but I suppose there are people out there.
Just for a little bit more context or background, we previously, until a year ago or not too long ago,
Yeah, 2 years ago.
okay, a couple years, we had a dedicated half-time pool maintenance staff person that was on site, and that was their only role. Sometime along the way, and so around a couple of years ago, the city made the decision to bring that position into the citywide facilities maintenance team. And we receive our maintenance sort of through that pool of staffing. And it's supposed to still be roughly a 0.5 amount of time that's spent at the pool, but it's not dedicated. And so I think probably what you're hearing from Jonathan is we should think about that you're recommending that we go back to that model of actually having a dedicated on-site 0.5, but that was what it used to be. And it theoretically, we're still receiving that amount, but it's not a specific dedicated person on site.
Can I make one comment too? I think in addition, the facility maintenance job description doesn't call out aquatic maintenance as it's written now, too. So it's a little, when the person we've had, for the last almost 20 years retires and we go for that recruitment, it's just, there's a difference between aquatic maintenance and general facilities.
Okay. That's the question I had.
So my kids went to the Oregon City swim team, and they were members for 8 years, and I could see the dedication that everybody here has, and that this is a huge team. It is something that addresses a huge proportion of students, of young kids under 13 years old and all the way up to 18. It is a swim team is something that advances water safety, so that could be addressed. And it also trains a good proportion of lifeguards that Oregon City has, I'm sure. So then it goes all the way back to why are we talking about cutting everything back down? Is it just addressing a whole bunch of people, or not giving equity to the people that are invested in a team that supports over 200 kids? So I think that the master plan is something that has a little flaw in it, a big flaw in the fact that the swim teams rated are classified 3 rather than a 2 or really a 1, because it does address the water safety and the lifeguards.
Thank you.
So I think that it's a real drastic change to take a team that's practicing 2.5 hours a day to an hour and a half, or even missing a couple of days during the week. So it is a big impedance. Okay, it's something that will not advance a good swim team with less time in the water. Okay.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think the purpose of this operational assessment is to align operations with the master plan as it's defined today. And the life-saving is equal with the swim team and the swim lessons, but we should be driving younger kids to learn how to back float. So as things change throughout the years. If they want to go down to the river, then they have that skill in order to save their lives. And we'll still incorporate those swim lessons because they are a vital part of the community. It's a legacy program that's been using this facility for 20 years, I think.
Yeah.
So we can't just cut out the program and then just have swim lessons for whatever reason, but I think we should just right-size it for the community needs as well as the needs of the swim team.
I understand, and I see that there is a lot of open time in the schedule as it sits right now. It's much easier for families to go ahead and take swim lessons on the weekends when there's no school or other activities to work on, rather than right in the middle of where people work out on a team. And working out to hours of 7 and 8 o'clock, it really is not very many teams do that. They quit at 6, okay? And you did mention a bunch of other clubs that did work out to then, but the 5 or 6 other teams that pools that you mentioned, all their hours end at 6 o'clock, not 8:30. So it's something that I just am looking forward to keeping a good regimen alive for the swim team. Thank you.
That's on some of the questions that I had too for you on that. So I did want to just clarify, I read in a lot of the comments, lots of exception to the priority 3 classification of the swim team. Totally heard. That priority classification, did that come from your report, or did that come from the already approved master plan that you were given to go against?
Yes, that was the already approved master plan. So in the appendix, I think appendix E, there's a footnote on that specific slide, but it defines each priority. Those priorities were developed through statistically valid surveys that were put out to the community. Some interesting things that popped up for those surveys was adult fitness recreation. I think that makes sense. The older community is going to fill out the survey. The next highest was swim lessons, and at the bottom at 9% need was the swim team. So that's what our findings through that master plan and those surveys, and we incorporated those findings into our report so that we can be better aligned with that.
That's helpful to understand that it's based on information that you were given. So the recommendations that you're going off of is based on the information that you were given from other things that we've given you. I also wondered, again, thinking back to the reading I've done with the comments, when you did sort of a competitive analysis and you went, I think people mentioned like an hour or so outside of our jurisdiction, as Tim just said, that they close at 6 versus 8. So can you clarify that? Did you find that the swim team practice times were ending at 8 o'clock in the ones that are in our competitive analysis, or is that across the country?
That'll be in the competitive analysis. For the other surrounding communities, you all have a unique operation. You have 6 lanes, 25 meters. It's very small. Or if we look at the newly opened Lake Oswego, we have a giant 50-meter pool. We have a great activity pool where we can host programs through each of those and support all of our programs at any given time. You all have a unique aspect where you have 24 hours within the day, but you can't fit in all of the program needs. So how do we right size that in order to fit in best with the community needs as well as our legacy users?
Okay, I can go back in the report and find the times then that's in the competitive analysis on there.
Yes, I believe so.
And then my next question, it's probably more for our swim staff than for you, but on the ages served, again, reading in some of those written comments, it sounded like folks available to join or be part of swim team is much younger than 13 to 18, which to me sounds like it's serving that need within the master plan to have the younger ages that's just in swim lessons. And then how old does swim lessons go up to? What are the ages served by those two things?
I'm not, 100% sure what all the demographics of our club team is. I am fully aware there are a lot of young kids that do come to practice. Our swim lessons, the ages are anywhere from 6 months to probably 11 years old for our swim lessons.
Okay, and then you were looking at adding some as you need your water safety.
Yeah, so we have specifically our swim talk classes and our level 1 groups where you see a lot of ages between 3 and 5. Those are the classes where we're seeing the largest wait lists and inability to get into a class. And those classes are going until 7:30 at night.
That was going to be the next question I had. What are the swim lessons age groups that are the longest wait list? So you said 3 to 5 years old.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because a lot of those classes are that critical age of starting to learn those skills.
But we're not seeing as much demand on the school age, because I'm thinking if we're looking at transitioning the 4 to 6 as you've recommended, that to me screams school age kids.
Sure. Once you start getting into our higher levels, we don't see as large of a demand because those levels are starting to cover more of like the technique of strokes or addition of strokes like butterfly and breaststroke and diving and stuff like that. And those aren't seen as much of a critical lesson to continue through.
Thank you. That was really helpful.
Yeah.
So I had some questions about swim lessons in general. So as a parent that has brought her child to the swim lessons at the pool, I found that I needed the evening hours because I'm a working parent.
I agree.
And I would think if swim lessons were focused from 3 to 6, that my child wouldn't have the opportunity to do swim lessons. So has there been like a survey of the current users of swim lessons?
That wasn't included in this study.
In this, and so background information like that could also be helpful on when people who are using the swim lessons can or cannot. And it probably would be helpful information as we're kind of making those decisions. I do think, and I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I do think having opportunities potentially on, I think that integrating some lessons into the Saturday was an option. But that may end up being a very difficult time to get into. I mean, it's hard to get into swim lessons anyway, at least it was when my daughter was a kid.
That's really hard.
So I think that's one thing that we need to also balance, making sure that people have access and how that is. And so, and maybe perhaps this is also a question for staff, because we were talking about how this is a presentation today, and then we'll come back potentially next month. Will staff have like a recommendation that references this report? Like, will there be potentially options? Because it seems like this provides one possible solution, but would there be other potential options, like for distributing when perhaps are optimal times for swim lessons?
Yeah, we would intend to do that. That would be the next conversation. Is we will bring recommendations. We'll bring whatever options are within the recommendations, and for your consideration. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Helpful. Yeah, because I do think. I think about the times that match up when people and users are available. Right, and I did also have a child who did take advantage of the school swim team, where they were able to go directly from the school to the swimming pool, which was like an after-school sport, right? And by pushing the swim lessons off too far, you miss that opportunity for that after-school sport. But I think that's probably communications you have with the school districts and whatnot about how the pool provides the services for the school district. So, okay, that's, I was mostly interested in that. Thank you.
Questions?
Then, so my question, I guess, did you say you already hired the program manager, or that you've already separated that part of the duty?
Yes, we hired a full-time program coordinator. They're working Tuesday through Saturdays right now, and they started in December.
So that theoretically frees up some of your time then?
It helped, yes, it's, that individual is working, until 7:30 PM during the workdays, and then Saturdays from 9 to 5. So yes, it's providing some more oversight, to those hours, or, and even when I am in the office, I don't have the capacity to be on the deck observing lifeguards. I'm often off-site at meetings, or, there's a series of other programs where I get pulled out of that building, and so, yeah, it helps provide more oversight instead of the, structure that we lean on a lot of, lifeguard and lifeguard supervising each other.
So in reality, it's going to be like more like one FTE is needed to kind of help fulfill all of this between
Sure,
what
the
you've
facility
added.
is open almost 100 hours a week.
Right.
I think right now it's 85, and with the recommendations of increasing some of those operating hours, full-time position covers 40 hours a week. And when you have a manager and a program coordinator, we need to have some sort of crossover and see each other. And so, yeah, there's a lot of, there's still a gap of time where there's not, staff there.
And then the other one, I guess, would be for Scott. There's not been any real discussion of revenue generation, I guess. And I didn't know if that was really a priority or not. I know that it looks like we're still at about $1 million deficit each year for operating the pool. Is that, but we're not trying to resolve that at this point.
So this assessment didn't really get that far into that. Jonathan had a couple slides, I think, that showed some of the percentages of how much we're subsidizing certain types of programs. What we do intend to do is not long after completion of this, and which we're about at that point now, we had planned on we're going to do a fee and rate study for the Parks and Rec Department. So across the board of the whole department, which will include all of the pool's fees and rates and all of that. We do, just from kind of a, best professional opinion and looking at things, and I've come on board somewhat recently and have, kind of the fresh eyes. I think we're undercharging, not just talking about the pool right now, but just across the board in a lot of different areas. And I don't think we're at what you would consider a market rate range. But the best way for us to do that is hire a firm that does fee assessments, and we're currently looking into that. So that'll be another component, and it will relate to some of what the report that Jonathan has provided. Some of that kind of touches on it, but we're going to take a deeper dive, and of course we're going to inform PRAC about that process, and you'll be part of that discussion. So that'll be happening throughout the rest of this calendar year.
So I guess to kind of paraphrase, and none of this is necessarily to significantly increase the revenue that the pool is providing at this point.
That wasn't one of the main tasks that we asked Jonathan to provide a report on. This was really focused on what does our operation look like in terms of the programmatic pieces and the scheduling of the facility. The addition of recommending some additional times. I think a big part of this, and that'll be part of our discussion with you at a different meeting, is the recommending that we open on Sunday. We have historically run the pool for 6 days a week and been closed on Sunday to help us meet some of the demand. Adding some Sunday hours would be a big step for us. So we'll be talking about that. But correct, Ken, we didn't specifically ask that we're doing a real significant like fee and market analysis on it. It was very just kind of a high level touch, which really gave us, quite frankly, the information that came out of the report with that piece was it made me believe that the fee study is even more important than I maybe thought it was in some areas, at least related to the pool.
Anything else? I think, Melissa, you want to come off mute?
Yeah. First of all, I'm not there, and I wish I was, because with all of the comments that were emailed in, I did read them all, and it sounds like it's a full house tonight. So I I want to thank you all for being there. And then I read through this presentation earlier, and I went back to our original master plan, because initially when the master plan was developed, I came to the meeting that kind of spoke about the top priorities. And in my mind, it has always been very youth unfriendly, I guess, in what it had indicated as top priorities. I always felt that youth programs were kind of lower priorities based on what people had responded, which as a parent in the community, that to me just felt very unusual, because I grew up here. I know how heavily invested the community is in all of these programs. Swim team is one of those. So I guess some of my questions come around when we're talking about the time frame for swim teams, the usage in the pool. Were participants that brought their kids to swim lessons and the ones that were on wait lists, were they asked in survey what time frame works best for their families? Because like Karen, I was a working parent. It was more convenient for me to bring my child after work hours. So I don't necessarily see that the time frame is a huge issue if we have all that information. And I didn't see that provided, so like to know more about that. I love the idea of opening on Sundays for, for the community use. Is there possibilities of even opening up the pool later during the weekdays? Just a thought that I had as I was reading through all of this. And then I also agree that I think the prioritization of the swim team being a priority 3 might be under investing what the swim team does as a pipeline for like a continuation of lessons for a lot of children. Once they age out of the actual lessons, this gives them more advanced skills in water. And we as Oregonians have water all around us. So that safety and that education is imperative to like lifelong learning. So those were just my thoughts. And again, I just appreciate everyone's thoughtfulness in this whole process.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Okay, so just to sum that up, I do think one thing, Scott, that would be helpful is if we don't, I doubt we have enough time before the May meeting to do a survey type thing to see folks that are of swimming lesson age of, what times work for you, or parents with kids of swimming lesson age. But it would be nice to hear what plans we could have to do that, because I'm hearing from Karen, I felt the same way from Melissa, that understanding the need from that audience is also going to be really important along with this particular report to be able to make a good recommendation.
Yeah, we'll certainly look into our options and how quickly we could turn a survey around of current or recent current users. Yeah, we'll look into that for sure.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from PRAC? Go ahead.
So I agree with the survey. I think when the people come in for the May registrations, maybe you could poll those people that are coming in to see what ideal times they would like, since you have a captive audience there already.
Yeah, I will note that our summer swim lessons do start at 4:00. And that started last year, so the times in the summer are a little bit different than the other 9 months of the year.
Still being able to ask them at that time, like.
Yeah.
And then how many kids do you currently have on a waiting list, and what's the biggest age what's the age bracket that has the most people on the waiting list?
Okay, so we run swim lessons. Swim lesson session will take place for a 3-week period. And in that 3-week period, we'll typically be able to fit about 96 people in classes every 3 weeks. At one point, a few years ago, we had 3 times the amount of that number on a wait list trying to get into a class. That percentage has started to decrease because in the last year we've had Lake Oswego opened their big center, aquatic and rec center down the street, and there's been 2 swim schools that have also opened up, one in Westland across the street, and then Gladstone is starting to operate one in the 24-hour fitness with the British Swim School, and so that's helping meet some of those swim lesson demands. I think
But you've had 250 kids on the waiting list?
Yep. I think one time we had 388 was the most we had on a wait list. I think people just started getting tired of adding their name to a wait list, and that's why we're not seeing as many getting added at this point. As far as the classes that have the longest wait list, it's specifically our classes that are for ages 3 to 5. It's those beginner level, getting comfortable in the water, learning to float, learning the basic elements of a swim stroke. And for a single class, we will have 6 kids in a class, and we will have anywhere between 10 and 36 people on a wait list specifically for those levels.
And do you know about the percentage of people that are on the waiting list that live in the city?
I know overall 75% of our swim lesson program participants are residents of Oregon City. I haven't evaluated specifically the wait list component.
Okay.
I know, that's part of why we started allowing residents to have priority for registering for lessons, to allow them to get that first chance to get into a spot.
Do most classes fill up that early registration?
They did at first, but we're starting to see registrations come in slower. At one point it was lessons open up for registration and they were all filled within, 15 seconds. We're starting to see that it takes a few days to fill now.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's not as much of that urgency now that there's some more options.
Okay. Thank you. And then Scott, the other questions on this approval to proceed, are those things that we need to be discussing? That's staff. Okay.
I have one more question.
Okay, let's do Tim and then we'll do Melissa.
All right, so I see Saturdays are open for rentals a lot, and how often are they empty?
Now they're filled every single weekend.
Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, it's a lot of kids' birthday parties, Boy Scout groups. We have kayak users. We have, all sorts of stuff. Sometimes family reunions, they'll book the pool. We have a lot of user groups, but we offer rentals from 2 to 8 p.m. and it's very rare that we have a hole in the schedule on a Saturday.
Thank you.
Melissa, do you want to offer another question?
I did have one other question, but I also wanted to speak about the wait list for swim lessons, because I do recall it wasn't even 4 years ago that when registration would be opened, you would be lucky if you got your name in the queue for one of the swim lessons. So I completely understand the need for widening how many times those classes are offered. I have totally spaced my question, and I will think about it and send that back here in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Melissa. Okay, do we, Corey, have more than are on this particular sheet? While we're getting that, folks, thank you, Jonathan. You're welcome. You're please happy to go. I'm going to go through, and I see we have at least 12, if not more, folks that have signed up to give public comment here in person. I just want to remind folks that when I call your name, you'll come up to the microphone, go ahead and say your name and your city of origin, and then, sorry?
Residents.
What was that?
Residents.
Oh, I'm getting there, yeah. Sorry, what was that?
Residents. Oh, you don't need to know where you came from, just where you live now.
Sorry, your city of residence, that's what I meant to say. Sorry, folks, you're right, thank you.
No, it's all good.
Know your history. Okay, so your city of residence, excuse me. And then we are probably, because we have so many folks, we're limiting it to 2 minutes. And so there will be a timer here. You'll hear, just show a 10-second timer, and you'll hear a beep Yeah, the time is up.
Sorry, it's a little aggressive.
It's a little aggressive. One thing we do want to offer too is we're here to listen and take in your comments and also have them on our public record. We are not here to debate any comments or necessarily engage in conversation or things like that, but we want to hear you and we want you to be heard. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and call up, anything else to add before I go on? Okay. Call up my first public comment. It looks like Tim Wad.
Good evening.
Hi.
Can you guys hear me okay? My name is Tim Watt, and I've lived in Oregon City all of my life, and I'm a local business owner here in the historic McLaughlin District. As a lifelong member of the Oregon City Public Swimming Pool and competitive swimmer who joined the Oregon City Swim Club in 1977, I'm here today to express my profound concern regarding the current proposal. The proposed changes would severely undercut our swim team's ability to operate successfully, threatening a legacy of excellence that has defined our community for decades. Swim teams are not just recreational groups, they are economic engines. By hosting annual swimming competitions, the team draws hundreds of families from across the region to Oregon City. These visitors frequent our local restaurants, shops, and services, providing a direct boost to our small business community. These events put Oregon City on the map as a premier destination for all swimmers. In a community surrounded by water resource recreation, swimming saves lives. Our swim team members are a source of our city's lifeguards and swim instructors, and without a robust team environment, we lose the very people who keep our public waters safe. The pool is a classroom for responsibility, goal setting, and productivity. It fosters long-term relationships and work ethic that translates directly into professional success. The Oregon City Pool has been the starting block of incredible journeys for our alumni, which include recipients of prestigious athletic and academic scholarships to top-tier universities, professionals who have reached heights of competitive and professional swimming careers, and local leaders, our doctors, nurses, teachers, lawyers, PTA members, funeral directors, who continue to use the pool today as part of our adult swimming programs. The swim team provides one of the few spaces where residents of all ages come together. It bridges the gap between youth development and adult fitness, creating a lifelong cycle of health and civic engagement. To limit the swim team's access is to diminish the safety, economy, and character of Oregon City. I urge the council to reconsider any proposal that marginalizes competitive swimming. We must protect the facility's role as a training ground for the next generation of leaders and lifesavers. Thank you for your time.
Keep us moving. Okay, thank you so much. We have Kenji Kasabuchi.
Hello. My name is Kenji Kasabuchi, and I grown up and live in Oregon City. And I've been swimming with OCST for the last 10 years. Throughout my swimming journey, the resources provided by this pool have allowed me to develop discipline, physical strength, and the work ethic needed to compete at a high level. I've always taken pride in representing Oregon City. I hope you take a pride in being a part of a community that has helped develop not just strong athletes, but people with the discipline and character. Because of that, I am concerned that the proposed changes to the pool times are going to impact the next generation's ability to represent Oregon City in the future. I've had the opportunity to compete at state for Oregon City High School and at higher level meets too. When I started, I was one of the younger kids in the program, and I was given the time and space to grow. If the pool time is reduced, or if we continue to be treated as a separate from the community, younger swimmers won't have the same opportunities, and that affects their ability to improve, stay committed, and reach higher levels in the sport. I also believe the swim team is a vital extension of the lessons program. A strong team helps develop stronger swimmers overall, and many of those swimmers go on to become swim instructors and lifeguards. These programs are connected, and when one is supported, it helps strengthen the others. So I think there's an opportunity here to work together instead of separating programs. There are already connections between the team and community program, and I believe strengthening that relationship would benefit everyone. At the end of the day, I'm asking you to think about the long-term impact, not just on current swimmers, but on the next generation. Because if we want athletes to continue representing Oregon City at a high level, they need the time, space, and support to get there. I'm not
10 seconds.
I'm not saying that we should be the #1 priority, but I think we should definitely be seen a little more. Thank you for your time.
I have Rowan Schmidt.
Hi. Hi, thank you for your time. My name is Rowan Schmidt, and I have lived in Oregon City my whole life and still do live here. I'm also part of the Oregon City swim team, and as somebody who's been swimming for 10 years now, I can reassure you that swimming is not just a sport or physical activity. It's a source of support and well-being. I'm here to mention about how the swim team can be more than a physical help to people. One personal example is a couple years ago, I was struggling with anxiety, and I didn't know how to handle it. I tried different ways to cope with it, including therapy, but I ended up realizing that the best way to relieve my stress was something that I already had in my life. Swimming brings me a sense of joy and calmness. Whenever I felt overwhelmed, I would swim, and by the end of the time, I would feel calmer and more control of my feelings. The swimming team also gave me a positive community that had people I could turn to for any sort of need. It gave me people that supported me, valued me, and respected me. These people became my best friends. Being a part of a positive community like this can create a safe space where people know that they're not alone. This swim team made a positive impact on my social and mental wellness, and I know it has on other people too. It is easy to think of it as just another activity, but it's just much more than that. It's a place where people can feel supported by their community. And as one of the team captains on this team, it's what I strive to do. The people that I have met and the lessons that I've learned, I will carry throughout my life. Because if you cut our swim team, these people and our future people on our team will be cut out the resources that the swim team provides. That's why I believe that swimming isn't just important, it's essential to this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Call up Julie Grotjon.
Almost got it. The kids always make me tear up, so I might need just a second. I'm a little crier when it comes to them. My name is Julie Grotjon. I'm a resident of Oregon City and have been since 2001. I want to just say this isn't about pool space. It's about public health, youth development, and who gets to stay in the water long enough to benefit from it. The report being discussed expands access on paper, but reduces it in practice. If we truly value access, we must protect the programs that keep kids in water, not just the ones that introduce them to it. For a little more perspective, I come from a lot of different roles. I was a collegiate swimmer, a coach, a master swimmer, a swimming official, a former lifeguard. I also taught lessons and a parent of current and former swim team athletes, both of whom learned how to swim at the OC pool, were on many wait lists for many years because I too needed after hours, because in this economy, I feel like everybody has to have a job that doesn't end at 3. Both of my kids have gone on to become lifeguards and instructors themselves to give back. Professionally, I've spent over 28 years in county government, working with at-risk youth and families, focusing on trauma and mental health and access. From that lens, access to safe, structured community spaces like pools is not optional, it's prevention. As you may already know, the Oregon Health Authority recognizes community pools as critical to injury prevention, lifelong health, and when programs are structured and supervised, additional youth development will grow. Structured programs like swim teams create connection, consistency, and belonging, as Rowan reflected. The city is clear about its priorities: water safety, broad community benefit, and financial sustainability. I support those priorities. However, what is not fully reflected in this report is that swim teams directly support all 3. And the proposal before us pushes that pathway to the margins. Already done?
10 seconds.
No, 10 seconds.
Left? Swim teams also serve a population that is underserved in recreational programming, middle and high school youth. Without consistent, accessible, and developmentally appropriate opportunities like the swim team, many of these adolescents will disengage from aquatics altogether. Thank you.
Leone.
Hi, Chris Leone, as you said. My family and I are residents of a suburb of Oregon City called Milwaukee. There have been a lot of great comments, so many really moving comments and meaningful and informative ones, and I'm glad that they're all there on the record. I'm mostly just adding my voice as a resident of the greater community. Also, my family and I are Italian citizens as well as American ones, and it's exciting to be in this place, which has a greater sense, a community that's growing. So I would like to encourage us to continue to prioritize the swim team. It seems like most of us here, that's what we're interested in now. And I'd like to keep that in mind as we move toward the future to 70 years, 80 years, and hopefully beyond, and with the new center too. Also has been said, the pipeline, the generational flow, if you will, the stream of our swimmers is behind us. As Melissa says, it's a team effort. Water safety is a team effort. Behind me is the team of today and the team of tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Matthew Crum. Matthew Crum.
Greetings, my name is Matthew Crum, and I'm an Oregon City resident and head coach for the Oregon City swim team. The team has trained thousands of swimmers in our community for over 6 decades. While I'm proud of the achievements of the team, I am also proud to coach the next generation of lifeguards, swim instructors, lap swimmers, and aquatic program enthusiasts. Our team contributes to the whole ecosystem of essential community benefits that aquatic programming offers. To that end, OCST has been and continues to be a willing and enthusiastic partner to the city in building and growing aquatic programming opportunities. Because of our longstanding partnership, it was disappointing to read the operations audit and recommended schedule changes given the potential negative impact to OCST. My submitted comments shows our priorities for aquatic programming are aligned. We want to help the city balance its priorities while offering the fullest scope of aquatic programming as possible. We love swimming and want there to be more of it. That said, we can't partner if we're not invited to the table. And today, your committee is looking at recommendations made from a table at which we didn't hold a seat. Conclusions were drawn and recommendations were made without us, without ever having a single conversation with the program provider that delivers the highest hour weekday programming, along with feeding the workforce and overall ecosystem of aquatic programming. Additionally, we question the regional knowledge and assumptions from which the market competitors are based. There are socioeconomic variances amongst populations served by the market competitors that are not reflected in the report. The populations served by a private sports club like Eastside Athletic Club or in more affluent communities like Lake Oswego do not account for potential nuances amongst demographic preferences. And OCST wants to engage creatively and partner to maximize this resource. We look forward to future conversations.
Dorian Smith.
Hi, I'm Dorian Smith. I don't know how to follow everyone, but I haven't been on the team for as long as some of the others here, but swimming is a really big part of my life. It's not just exercise, it's my community and the place where I feel the most like me. Taking away our pool time would take part of this away from me and many others who I'm sure feel the same way. This pool has also been our team's home base for many years, and the location is what brought a lot of us to join this team. Without being able to practice here, it takes away from our team identities, not just Legacy Aquatics, but Oregon City Swim Team, a group in which we take deep pride in. I love my team and my community, and not being able to swim with OC will make staying with this team difficult and staying with the team in general because our other pool and a lot of the local pools are pretty far from where I live. So I really want to stay with my people and that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Could you come back and let us know where you're from?
Oh,
Just real
sorry.
quick.
I'm from Westland.
Okay, thank you, Dorian. Appreciate it. I have Evangeline Cool. Evangeline. Thank you. Name and residence, please.
My name is Evangeline Culp, and I'm from Happy Valley. I just want to tell you a bit about my experience on the swim team. So every minute we spend in the water is a minute we're bonding with our community and fellow peers. The Oregon City Pool is so much more than a place we practice. It's our home. I've been a part of the team for about 4 years now, and in my first year of the team, I soon learned that my team and our pool was my family and my home. I'm on the train level, and we practice about 3 times at the Oregon City Pool a week. We use every drop of time we can when we are in the water and outside of the water in drylands, and that takes place in the community room. As not only an athlete on the team, I'm also a student, and current times for swim team allow me to get home, do my schoolwork, and maintain the balance in my schedule. These new hours that are being proposed or suggested are unsustainable for my lifestyle. Ending at 8 o'clock would have me cramming in to get schoolwork done with getting to bed as late as 11 p.m., which I'm sure that you guys have kids and know an athlete needs at least 10 hours of sleep. This being, if I was going to bed at 11 and waking up at 6 a.m. to get ready for school, is not enough and is hurting our communities and our students for the next generations. I also know that a lot of our swim team goes up to be lifeguards and swim instructors for the pool. So we're not only investing into the pool as much as they're investing into us, we're giving back and bettering the community. And I know the team, personally, I've helped train our lifeguards through this thing called lifeguard games. And so we are actively kind of contributing. And in conclusion, our team invests back into pool as much as they invest in us. Thank you for your time.
I have Carrie Cool.
Hi, I'm Carrie Culp. I live in Happy Valley. You just heard my swimmer speak. As a parent, you've heard so much already from our team. I just want to reiterate the fact that what we're here to talk about tonight has been focused so much on what takes place inside of the water. What you're starting to see now is how much what takes place in the water brings to the community. Our team not only uses time at the pool to learn strokes. I will tell you, my daughter started her swim career by taking lessons at the Oregon City Pool. We lived in Oregon City for 20 years before moving to Happy Valley. So this pool has a big place in our hearts and will continue to have a big place in our hearts. When my daughter aged out of swim lessons, she said, "I'm not done with the water. I want to stay in the water." So the next progression for us was, well, during lessons, we would see Oregon City swim team in the lanes down at the other end of the pool. And I said, "Oh, okay, well, let me take a look. Let me see what we can do." Jonathan, while I appreciate the work that you've been asked to do, I would say that right sizing is absolutely the wrong term for our team and what you're proposing be done. So, Scott, I would also say I appreciate the work that you're trying to do, and our team absolutely does not want to work against you. We want to work with you, as what Matt had said, but giving us less hours is not the right move. Thank you.
Kevin Culp. Thank you.
My name's Kelvin Culp, and you've heard we're from Happy Valley, and we previously lived here in Oregon City from my wife and my daughter. And our journey started in the Oregon City pool, like they have said. And I don't have more to offer than what they've said. I do feel strongly, don't marginalize the swim team. It is such a collaboration. What I will say is from my daughter's introduction into swimming, without that wading pool or whatever you called it, her journey might have looked a little bit different, I feel. I think we would have ended up here, but that was a really solid resource that I spent many an afternoon, my wife spent many an afternoon in that wading pool, and I would hate to see that go away. I also feel that there is a group of kids that if you gave them a choice of the wading pool or the splash pad, you get a different demographic of kids. And to take that away from them, I feel like is taking away a huge resource, because we already have a splash pad in Oregon City up in Rivercrest. And so let's give them both options. Don't take that away. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Travis Cook.
For the record, I'm Travis Cook. I live in Westland, Oregon. Did you know that the leading cause of death is heart disease? Yeah. So why is that? Right? It's lifestyle. It's diabetes, it's diet, it's being sedentary, right? What the swim team does is it teaches these kids to be active and to lead an active lifestyle. And that was something I was blessed with my parents. They taught me to be active. And you can ask my wife how I feel if I'm not active in a given week, because it affects my ability to manage stress, right? And all of these kids are working really, really hard to manage school, which is incredibly stressful now. There's so much more pressure. And then you think about how the swim team can create a positive environment for them. It keeps them off of drugs because they're around people of like-minded. It keeps people sleeping more because they know that they perform better when they sleep. It keeps them off a healthy diet because they know they perform better with a healthy diet. You learn all sorts of things from being in a positive community, supporting one another, and swimming is a vehicle for that. And if you think about women in sports, and you think about sports within the community that are local, like I was a coach for my daughter's soccer team. In high school, the soccer team is so competitive, and then you think about what do they do with the non-competitive people? They put them in co-ed sports. And then you look at college and the opportunity in college, there's diminishing opportunity. And so having a swim team that has, look at how many young ladies are on the swim team. There's a tremendous amount of women who are thinking about their health and being active, and it's a long-term lifestyle. And I think you should really take the swim team serious. It is not a prioritization 3. That is a mistake. And I'm just going to thank you for your time. So,
thank you. Thanks very much. We have Haven Crum.
My name is Haven Crum, and I live in Oregon City. And I don't have anything new to add per se, but I just came up here to reiterate how important swimming is. I've been swimming for 7 years. My dad is the head coach. He's Matthew. You heard him talk. Swimming has affected me so much positively as well as mentally. Swimming has affected me positively, physically, as well as mentally. I always go into the pool if I'm in a bad mood or if I'm stressed. I always leave feeling better. Taking our pool time away for other activities discards my coach's teammates and the parents. These time cuts will cause us to have to swim in a pool with multiple groups, which is not sustainable because it will make it crowded, and it's just also swimming until 8 will cause us to get home later, and then we'll get less sleep, which is not sustainable because it will amplify the issue of many young teens not getting enough sleep. We have been using this pool for years and following this schedule for years. Why should we change it now? Other activities are important, yes, but so is swimming as a sport. Swimming trains lifeguards and helps with water safety. As said before, there are many young kids who come to practice, which helps grow their confidence and safety in swimming. We do take a lot of pool time, but we need it all and we use it all productively. Cutting our pool time will affect us heavily, which is why we are all here to advocate for ourselves. If we didn't care or if we could make it work, why would we be here? We are so much more than just a low priority activity. Please consider our benefits to the community and to many teens and younger children before you cut our pool time. Thank you.
Okay, I have Catherine Beaker.
Hello, I'm Catherine. I live in Beaver Creek, so kind of on the outskirts of Oregon City, but we do all of our stuff in Oregon City. I have a 10-year-old on the Oregon City swim team. She's been on the team since she was 7. She learned to swim she learned to swim from me. I was a lifeguard instructor, also on a swim team, lifeguard instructor, swim lesson instructor. I taught her how to swim, but she did participate in morning swim lessons, and I think that was at Oregon City. I think that I just wanted to, when we were talking about the age groups, with the waitlist numbers, ages 3 to 5, or the taught groups, parent taught groups, I think that there is a need for daytime swim lessons in those age groups. Those kids are not in school, they're in preschool. What I had a hard time doing with my second kiddo, William, he's 6 years old, I couldn't find a time that would work where I could get him into the pool after preschool was done. So he went to preschool from 8:30 to 11:30. He no longer took naps. I had until 2:30 until I picked up my daughter from school, where I could have utilized some time to have some preschool swim lessons that filled that age group need of that 3 to 5 year old that are not in kindergarten yet. So I hadn't heard that yet this evening kind of be discussed. I just wanted to make sure that could go out maybe in the survey as an option. Would daytime lessons be beneficial? I work part-time as a nurse at our emergency room here in Oregon City. So I had the flexibility with our schedule. I know I'm not the only person that just works part-time that has grandparents that can take kids to lessons as well. I just want to make sure that is not forgotten as an option for maybe some more daytime programming. That's it.
We have Kobe Kendall. Kobe.
Hi, my name is Kobe Kendall. I'm a coach with the Oregon City swim team. I will be leaving that role in a few months to pursue higher education. So truthfully, I have no reason to be here other than the fact that I truly believe in the value that Oregon City adds to this community. Regarding water safety, our 2 head coaches have 20 years of water coaching experience each. They have learned from and have based our program based on cutting-edge water experience from an Olympian-level coach who has flown out to the United States to coach our kids in cutting-edge swim knowledge. That is the kind of water safety that OCST brings to this community. But more than that, it is the values that OCST brings to this community. As coaches, we often talk to our athletes about our core values: perseverance, effort, family, and community. And it's because of those values that we empower our athletes to lead their lives with those values at the forefront. I have witnessed countless families pitch in to nourish our athletes, making breakfast burritos, cutting fruit, and it's such an inspiring experience to see what the Oregon City swim team has done for the community at large. We ask our athletes, are you making the champion's choice? And in that regard to community building, I believe that we are very unique to the aquatic ecosystem of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think that comes our end to our official public comments.
You skipped me. Unless it was a disappearing ink that I signed that.
Oh, I'm sorry if I missed you. What's your name?
Brian Watt.
There it is. Sorry, I did miss it. I double checked it. Sorry, Brian. Brian Watt, come on up.
That wasn't on purpose, Scott. Yeah, I'm Brian Watt. I'm a member of the Hillendale neighborhood and a former PRAC and former PRAC member and also chair of the PRAC. I coach at Oregon City High School swimming, and I'm just completed my 16th year of that, and also coach for Oregon City Club, and it started about 2010. The Oregon City High School swim team continues to grow and excel, representing an average of about 60 families, Oregon City families, the last couple of years. A little bit over 60 students last year, and then a little bit under 60 students this year. The 25-26 season was quite the banner season for us. The girls placed third at state, just behind Jesuit and Lake Ridge. And that was the best ever that we've ever done in the history of the program, which dates back to the building of the pool. The guys did great too. Only second best since 2015, where we were second only to Jesuit again, and that was the best in program history in 2015. Since 2010, we built the program from 25-ish students at Oregon City High School to now 60, and fought for funding and got funding 2 years ago. Fought through COVID, obviously, and I thought we did a pretty good job, held our ground through COVID. We went from 3 lanes to 4 lanes to 6 lanes, renting the facility, and now we're at 6 lanes Monday through Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. And it would be tragic to take that time away from our students. And I would beg you to recommend that this would be very, very detrimental to our swim team if we took the recommendations of the this operational assessment. We definitely need all of that. We need the 4 to 5. We talked about the transportation for the students to get down to the pool. We need that time, 4 to 5. We need also the 6 lanes. We also need Monday through Friday. I think I'm over. Sorry.
Anyone else that felt like they signed up on here that I might have skipped their name? No? Okay. All right. Well, then that's going to conclude our public comment section. I do want to say thank you to everyone for coming out and supporting. I do want to note, especially for all the young people that took time to come up here, that's not easy, and I applaud you all. Thank you so much. If you are interested in city government or things like that, there are always open teen positions on these councils. So if you're interested, you can always look on our website. So I got to give that plug. And then I think we're going to move to our next piece of business, which I believe is are we going to continue with the Clackamette Park plan upgrade? So if you all, sorry.
I was going to say,
if you all would,
they can leave if they don't want to.
yeah, we could take a quick break, and if you all would like to stay, you're welcome to continue to stay. But if you would like to get home to your dinners and your bedtimes and homeworks, feel free. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Take a quick break.
I'm trying, man. Oh, John. Tim's gonna be so mad at you.
Well, I don't think he will.
Do I do anything official? Okay, we're gonna go back into our session here. Yeah.
Nice job with the group. That was great.
That was great. Okay, so I think our next piece is the Clackamette Park Plan update.
So I'll go through this relatively quickly, given the time. If it's okay with you, committee, what I'd like to do, we've also got the next item is just general project updates. And so I'll do Clackamette first, but then I'll just keep running through. We've got a number of projects that are either in process or about to start, and we just want to make sure you're aware of them. And so I'm going to give you just some quick highlights of each of these projects, where we're at, and I'll stop it after I kind of give you the update on each one, and if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'm just going to move relatively quickly through this, and happy to talk more about any of them. So Clackamette Park, I think you already know, we've hired an engineering firm to do the final design and engineering. And we're at a point where we've begun the process of actually doing some preliminary renderings, which are not quite ready for public consumption, but we're getting pretty close to that. And we're about to start embarking on our major public process with the Clackamette project. And that will include receiving feedback from PRAC at the right points in time to check in with you, as well as City Commission. So some upcoming dates that are important to be aware of. And actually, I'm going to send you the written kind of information that I'm looking at, the bullet points of here, so you've got a reminder. So May 12th is a City Commission work session. So staff will just be rolling out some of those preliminary designs and talking about where we're at in the process. Of course, you're welcome to attend that meeting or watch it online if you'd like. That meeting will be at 6 o'clock at the Robert Lipke Public Safety Building. That's our City Commission chambers up on Lynn Avenue, the police station. We also will have a community open house. This will be our first open house for the project on May 21st at the same location, also at 6 o'clock. I think it would be great if any of you are available and could attend that, to have some PRAC representation at that. Certainly not required, but that will be our first community open house. We're finishing up designing a project website, and so that will allow us to communicate and also receive feedback on the project. We're working on our social media campaign. And then at our PRAC meeting in May, should be another eventful meeting. We'll follow up on the conversation we just had, but we also plan to bring back the preliminary design kind of concepts of Clackamette Park and look for your initial feedback on that. So May is we're really rolling out that project. So I'll pause and see if you have any questions on that one.
Boat ramp?
Yes.
Okay.
That will be a part of that conversation for sure.
I mean, it's at least included in the thought process.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a very big part of it.
Yes.
Boat ramp and the RV park and what to do with each of those are really going to drive the design of the rest of the park. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Anybody else? So next is the West Leland Dog Park. We've been having our kind of preliminary meetings with our planning and public works departments, our land use process and our permitting process. So far, we've run into no major concerns or issues with the project as it's proposed. We're working with a designer, Lango Hansen, landscape architect firm to do the final design, get it ready for bidding, and then get into the construction portion of this. We are anticipating being under construction by this summer, and we're still on track for what we think will be substantial completion of the new dog park in West Leland by fall of this calendar year. The fall is the target for our planting, and so some of the elements may even be completed sooner than that, but we're planning to kind of finalize the project with the fall planting. So that's where we're at on that. Any questions?
Is that turf planting or just general planting?
Just general planting, yeah. I think we're basically gonna, I think there may be some additional turf planting, but we're trying to utilize the existing, what we've got there, and we're not adding irrigation to that site.
Right.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Chapin Park Playground is next. We have been out hitting a number of our neighborhood association meetings to let folks know, particularly, like the Hilltop area neighborhoods are very interested in that project, as that park is one of the kind of the major parks up on the hill. So we've hit several of the neighborhood associations and just kind of sharing sharing and getting feedback on the designs, and we're still going to attend more of the neighborhood associations. You recall, I think we discussed it here, there are two options that we're looking at, and we're basically kind of taking those out and saying, which one would you prefer? The community survey regarding that is now live on our website, and we're going to continue to push out that messaging even more through our social media channels in the coming months. So really, we're in the kind of phase of, hey, we would love to hear what people's preferences are on the design. And so we're looking at some additional funding opportunities. We've got a certain amount of funding lined up, and we're looking at additional funding through the local government grant program. That's a state grant. We're also looking at opportunities to connect with so that we've got the Metro Community Choice Grants, which a number of you were at the workshop we had several weeks ago. So if one of the projects that's selected through that is related to Chapin Park, which there was a proposal, then we're going to be able to potentially connect with that to sort of, make the project more. We don't have a target date for construction yet, and what we're basically doing is trying to land on which of the design options we want to do. And then depending on where we end up with the funding, which we'll know more about here in the next couple months, we will target a construction date and kind of more of a solid timeline with that. But we're getting close. Question?
I did have a question on that one.
Yeah.
Sorry, does someone else have a question?
I did.
Go ahead, you first.
So did you settle on a playground equipment for Chapin Park? Was it the barn that the town was talking about?
That's the two options that we're talking about. So we haven't settled yet. That's what we're doing, is asking the community through the different methods of getting feedback, which of the two designs people prefer. So there was the farm look, or the farm theme design, and then there was the nature play design that we presented. We presented each of those at a PRAC meeting a little while back. And they're up on our website as well if you want to revisit that and refresh. Does that answer your question? Great.
And then I have a question on that one too. When we did the open house with Metro and they were doing the grant building or the piece, community engagement, I understood that they were specifically tied to nature enhancements. So nature-based play, areas where the water could be adjusted or things like that. Will that funding that's needed play into, how does that weigh into how we build out the Chapin Park?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you're correct that the Metro funding, because that money's coming from their nature parks and nature bond that was approved in 2019. So it really does have to be connected to more natural elements and nature-based things. So the nature play design works for them in terms of being able to help fund that, and that could be connected into, there's a couple of different funding streams available potentially. One is that Metro Community Choice Grants that we talked about, and they've got some other funding. So if that's the design that ends up being preferred by the community, that will, then we will be able to potentially connect to that funding. If it's the other version, the other option, the farms theme, that wouldn't be supported by Metro's funding. So we're just kind of piecing together. So there's a process going where we're saying, hey, community, which would you prefer? We've got a couple distinct options here. And then each of those carries some different opportunities for funding. We've got a certain portion of funding already allocated to the project. So no matter what, we've got a certain amount of funding. It's already in our city funds. And we're just trying to add to that with some other outside funding opportunities that will enhance the project. So, yeah.
Okay. So am I understanding correctly that you're saying that our community engagement here within Oregon City will drive the decision of how we decide to move forward with the play place, whether it's the barn or the nature play, and then we add in the potential for other funding sources like Metro.
Yeah, the design that's selected will have an impact on some of the funding sources, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, the decision, there's no scientific method to this. We're getting feedback through neighborhood association meetings and surveying and PRAC and different things, and we're going to take all those and kind of put them together and see if there's something like a thread that says this is probably where the community's leaning. We'll be back in front of you and definitely sharing what that recommendation looks like.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Park Place Park, we've got money in the budget for doing some improvements there to that park. What our budget doesn't say is exactly what those improvements are. It's kind of an open-ended thing where basically we've gone to the neighborhood there and we've asked what would be your preference. So we're going through some process with the neighborhood to identify, would you prefer to have more pathways? Would you prefer a covered shelter or benches or whatever that might be? So we're in process to receive that feedback. There's a survey that is out, I went to a neighborhood meeting there not too long ago, and there's a lot of interest in the projects. I think there's an effort to encourage neighbors in the Park Place area to participate in the survey to help tell us what they want in the park. So our target for when we get all that feedback, then we'll look for a final design this coming fall and winter and hope to construct whatever the preferred improvements within the budget are next spring and summer. Or actually, I should say, yes, that next spring and summer, that's right.
So how are we doing with the poison oak?
I think it's mostly, that issue has mostly been
gone?
Eradicated.
Great.
Yeah, we're not really dealing, there's not an issue.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Any questions on that? Hillendale Park, we are, again, working with a designer to develop, we're pretty early still, develop the initial concept designs. We have some grant funding lined up for that from the local share, which is also Metro money. The project is to replace the existing restroom. And then also we're going to add a single stall restroom on what is essentially the north side of the park, on the opposite side of the creek from the current restroom, where there's ball fields and pickleball courts and playground. And so that's the primary work that we're looking to do at Hillendale. So with that, we're just doing some preliminary designs and making sure that everything will come together so that we can hopefully move forward with construction in summer of next year.
Was there any discussion with the pickleball club about repairing the pickleball courts?
Yeah, we've had quite a bit of conversation. There's an annual renewal of their agreement because we actually have an agreement with them where they get blocks of time and it's kind of like a more formalized rental than just a regular park rental. But they also invest into the courts, and they also provide programming for us. We're doing some pickleball programming through the club. So yes, we've had continued conversation, and they're actually seeking some grant money to do further improvements this coming year. Yeah, and their club numbers are large, and it's very active and very well attended and well utilized pickleball facility. The last thing I have is, I've already talked a little bit about the Metro Community Choice Grant. So again, this was another kind of a separate bucket of money that Metro had through their bond measure. This really is fully community-driven projects. They did a process across the whole region where people got to propose projects, and then those kind of got whittled down, and Metro worked with local agencies. We've been in regular contact with Metro where, hey, these projects have been proposed in your community. Which ones work? Which ones don't work? Can we, which ones should we advance and which ones should we take off the list if they're completely unrealistic? And we've continued to kind of whittle that down. We had the big community workshop a couple of months or so ago now, and that sort of helped kind of fine tune some of the projects that are being proposed in Oregon City. So projects are now eligible for what's called round 2 of the voting process. That is all available on Metro's website. And we are encouraging you all and anybody listening in our community to vote on your favorite projects that have been proposed to make sure that Oregon City receives some of that funding and gets to do some of those projects. So there are still several Oregon City-based projects on their list, and it is open for public voting.
Are you going to send a link out to everybody about that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You got it. I'm going to send you the project reports that I just did to give you a little bit more information. Plus, I rattled off a bunch of dates of things, and then we will put that link. That's great. Thanks, Tim. That's all I've got.
All right.
I have a question, just in general. I think it was at that meeting, the joint meeting with Metro. There was a person giving public comment, and they had asked about kind of a dog park at Barclay School, and I don't know much history about that. What is the history behind whether or not there can be a fence at Barclay School for the dog park there?
Well, so part of it is, there's basically a line where it separates the school district property and the city park property. We can do fencing within our own property just as we could with any other park, so long as we've, met all the planning criteria or land use criteria. So are you speaking specifically about the fence that's on the border of the two properties?
I think she was just asking why that particular, because there's a dog park there,
right,
but there is no fence around it, right, to keep the dogs within,
yeah,
right? And I just didn't know if there was a specific reason why that dog park wasn't fenced.
Yeah, there's some history there, and I'll try to not go too far deep down that rabbit hole because it's lengthy, but a number of years ago, PRAC actually recommended 3 different sites for off-leash areas that were kind of experimental, and they sort of became more permanent. Barclay was one of those, Wesley Lynn was one, and now we're converting that to a fully developed formal dog park with a fence. And the other was Park Place Park, which we were just talking about. There's nothing precluding us from doing that. It's just prioritization and budget. And decision making about does that fit within that park? It really is what it comes down to. So technically, it still is a designated off-leash area within there's an area within the park, and admittedly, we could do a better job of kind of marking where that exists, and we have actually discussed, and we're working on putting some markers in to say this is where you're actually supposed to be allowed to run your dogs off leash if you wish. And there's been some conversation with the commission about that. I think it was brought back to PRAC not too long ago with some concerns about activity there. So it's really just a priority, whether we want to invest that, funding into that site or not.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okie dokie. All right, thank you so much, Scott. Appreciate the project updates.
Welcome.
I will move on to member reports. Do you have any member reports? I will start. I'll start here and say that I got my summer guide in the mail, and it was lovely. I was so proud of our team. I thought that it was easy to read. I thought that the imagery you used was wonderful. Your copywriting was great. And I'm just really pleased to see it. So I want to say thank you all for spearheading that. I know it's a big lift. I remember putting those together. And I think you did a wonderful job with it. I was happy to see it in my mailbox. So congratulations to you, and please pass that on to your teams too from me.
Yeah, thank you. And may I interject for just a moment?
Please.
Thank you for saying that, and for reminding me that I probably should have mentioned that as well. But yes, I think we spoke about this with you previously and let you know that in the past that's been part of our trail news, which is kind of news for the whole city, and we were a portion of that. Trail news has kind of spun off and is a monthly, more newspaper style publication now, and part of that was that we would take the Parks and Rec element and produce our own separate standalone guide. So this is the first edition of that, and we're pleased to hear your feedback, and we look for other feedback as we continue that.
I was glad to see 3 of them though, and so that's a good starting point to
to, to schedule 3 and, it
Right,
just
we'll see
makes
where we go.
sense.
Yep,
So, yeah, no, I was pleased to see it as well.
great. Thank you.
Member reports?
Oh, I just have been able on some of these dry days to get the kids out and have been having a really good time. So, believe it or not, I thought there'd be a lot more mud and just general, like, oh boy, what are we in for? But parks are in great shape, so it's just nice to see. Because I know how hard it is, this time of year, you lose mowers and everything else when you're out there trying to
Appreciate that.
trying to do it. So,
Thank you.
They're doing a good job.
I do have a question. So, Hillendale Park Pickleball Club, they have that wonderful court right there, and access to it is pretty awful. So there is a big parking lot that was just completed on the other side of the, do the inmates go ahead and go there every weekend and clean up? Is that where that happens right there? That building just east of the courts? Okay, anyway, we used to park right there at that building and you just walk right down to the courts, and it was maybe 50 yards, okay? That they put a gate there and locked it. And is there any way to unlock that? Because you got to walk all the way around to get to the courts, it could be a lot more convenient for all the players that are going there.
So that's a good point and good question. That's the county's, Clackamas County's property and their fence and gate.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they have been approached by, I think the pickleball club and the city, I think, has inquired about that previously. I'm happy to revisit that. I'm not sure what the issue or purpose was there, maybe just concern about security for their own property or something, but that wasn't, just so you know, that wasn't the city's fence or gate, but we would certainly welcome that
Because it's
access.
not fenced on the other side of that little building.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it's just prohibiting access to the park.
Yeah, and I think I remember that, maybe you brought that up previously, Tim, but
Probably a while ago.
somebody did, and we've looked into it, and we've had a hard time getting a good response. I just think we've kind of not been able to get our point across or get a good answer to that question. I'm not sure.
All right, thanks.
Happy to revisit that.
I appreciate it.
Okay, any other member reports?
I wanted to thank you for the guide as well. It was awesome. I was really happy to see Haley Verhalen going to play, so that's good. She's a local. She's great. So, nice job, Jonathan, tonight. Yep. I thought you did a good job.
Appreciate it.
You too, Melissa. Thank you.
Okay, for sure. All right, if we have no other reports, I will adjourn us.
All right, good job, Aaron. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Good night, Melissa.
Good night, Melissa.
Good night, everyone.
Everyone tell Tim